So back to what I was saying. Could be us. This could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.
What's going on, everybody out there? Shout out to the Implodians and definitely Avondale Gate Magnet School. Also, the Roper School as well. This is for all of you guys here. Now, if you are a beginner, especially in group number 2, I'm gonna show you what you should do for your homework just to make sure that you're tournament ready and know all of the rules here. So your new Chesskid account has been sent out. If it hasn't, make sure that you tell your parents to contact me. If you had a Chesskid account last year, don't need a new one. Just use the same account you've had last year. And if you're getting a new username, remember, your password is change your password. That's right, change your password. Because once you get your account, put in your username, put in change your password, which is your temporary password, just to remind you to change your password. All right, let's get right in to it here. Boom. There is Chesskid here. So when you log on, put your username, change your password as your password, and then change your actual password to a password that you are comfortable with. And those of you who are in, group 1, right? That is the the group that you're trying to be a tournament chess player. Group 2 is the ones that are a little bit ahead. Most of them have played rated chess tournaments before. Remember, you haven't played a tournament until you've played a rated United States Chess Federation tournament. It doesn't count if you had one in a previous school that is not rated. It doesn't count if it's online. That's not real. Okay, a rated tournament is United States Chess Federation sanctioned tournament, and that is over the board. There's some exceptions for online tournaments too, but the main one is the over-the-board tournaments. All right. So for group 1, here is Chesskid, and this is what I want you guys to do. So you would go to learn, hit lessons here, and you would just start at the beginning. If you already know the rook, you should have no problem going through these. For instance, if we put meet the rook here, it's going to have you watch a video, and then it's going to have you answer some questions here. Here's some activities, and you have to answer those questions here. Once you do, you go to the next level. Next level is meet the bishops, meet the queen, and you're going to be able to go as far as you can. This is your homework. Try to get to your opponent. That'll take you all the way up here to queen 9 here, all the way up, your opponent, and that's where you're going to stop. Okay, so right here to queen 9 here. Okay, so that is your homework going forward. The quicker you get to that queen 9 level, that's when you can change to another group. But I need you guys at that level so you can know all the official rules of the game of chess, plus what tactics are. Double attacks, forks, pins, skewers, discovered attacks, double checks, king and rook checkmate. All of those things you need to learn first. Okay? So this is your homework going forward every week until you get to your opponent. Now, once you get to your opponent, you're going to have group 2's homework is going to be your homework at that point. But until then, get to your opponent on the lesson page, and then you will get the homework based off of the videos. All right. Now we're going to get into the homework for group number 2. or our advanced group. All right. Today we're going to talk about Night Outpost for this week. Um, we have talked before about the bishop pair. Bishops are good when there's an open position because a bishop can travel from one side of the board to the other in one move. But a knight is usually better in closed positions because knights can jump over pawns. So those are the differences between the two pieces, even though they're the same value. It's up to you to make the habitat better for the knight or the bishop that you own. But this week we're going to talk about knights. Knights are very strange pieces. They jump weird, and you always have to watch knights because of their ability to fork, which is attacking two pieces at one time. They're the best attacking teammate for the queen because the knight is the only piece that can do what the queen cannot do. So that queen and knight combination where you're trying to checkmate a king or attack a castle king or even a king in the center, those are the best combinations um, for those to attack your opponent. Now, in order for you to have a successful knight, you have to find an advanced square for the knight to perch on. Okay, since the knight doesn't cover as many squares as the rook or the bishop or the queen, you need to put that knight in the center of the board where it controls as many squares as possible, and an advanced center square where it controls many of your opponent's squares on your opponent's half of the board. And these squares that you want your knight on are called outposts. An outpost is a square that can never be controlled by a pawn. We also call that a weak square. Knights are really good on weak squares because they can sit on those squares. They don't have to worry about being forced to move because of an opponent's pawn. And you're going to need a piece or a pawn to defend that knight on that outpost. And so I'm going to show you guys a example game here. And I'm also going to share a link with you guys that provides over 57 examples of knights on Outpost. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to go to the link, open up those games, look through those games fast. You don't have to break them down. Look through those games fast because what you're going to notice is a pattern. Okay, your brain is going to record these patterns, and without you even knowing it, when you're playing your chess games, your brain is going to add the outpost technique to your chess game from now on, just because of your brain kind of adjust. Okay, so look at those 57 games real fast when you get some free time. I'm going to show you one of the games here as an example, and then I'm going to send out a quiz to test your knowledge of knights here. That's what we're talking about this week, knights. All right, let's get to it. All right, so this game was William Steinitz versus George Marco. William Steinitz was the first world champion ever. I want to say he was from the United States, actually, if not Germany. So maybe I have to check that again. Maybe I'm thinking about Frank Marshall, but he was definitely the first world champion. And he had this strategy called the Steinitz rule, and it was a rule where it's a way to prevent knights from getting outpost. Right? How bishops can beat knights is you have to stop their advanced squares, and that was called the Steinitz rule he came up with. But here you're gonna see William Steinitz use the knight. That may be the reason why he created a rule to stop the knights from getting to advanced squares. Here, William Steinitz is going to use the knight and find an outpost for his knight. So, William is white. George is black. He starts with d4, d5. Everything controls the center of the board. Remember, you want to control the center four squares when you play in a game of chess. Notice the knight controls one center. This pawn controls d5. This pawn controls the center square. He takes here. Now the knight is on one of the center four squares. That knight controls two center squares. He takes that. This knight controls two center squares. And this bishop, it's a check. And he blocks here. He trades. And then knight to d7. Normal game, but white has a little bit more space. Castle queen side here, castle king side. You know, if you castle opposite sides, it's all about who's the first to attack the other person's king. Okay, even if you have to give up a pawn, you just want to open up files and diagonals to the other person's king side position so you can attack before they get you. Get them before they get you. That's the number one rule when it's opposite side castling. So queen to e3, controlling the center here. c5, attacking the space like you're supposed to. Takes here. Queen to f5. This is a double attack on c5 here. Bishop d3. Queen takes c5. Rook e1. Again, controlling the center of the board. William Steinitz. Queen to c7. Keeping his queen. Putting pressure on the c4 pawn. Knight to e5. Rook to e8. King moves out of the way of the queen's file here. Knight to f8. Maybe the knight is going to jump to g6. And then William Steinitz plays the move c5. And here is where William Steinitz noticed that the d6 square is perfect for a knight. f6, knight to c4. And here we're going to the outpost. The outpost that is guarded by the c5 pawn. That's why space is important. Knight d6. Now the knight attacks a more valuable rook here on e8. He moves the rook to e7. And now that we've reached the outpost, the knight can't just win the game by itself. It's up to you to figure out how to add the other pieces, because the knight here, this knight is worth 6 points, not 3 points. Because a knight here that's controlling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares on black's half of the board is better than any rook that you can have. So this knight is pretty much like an octopus. Look at all the tentacles from this knight here, controlling all these great squares. Okay, but now you need to help the knight out. It has to be teamwork in order for you to overpower your opponent. So it's a group effort here. Invite everybody to the party. Knights, bishops, rooks, pawns, everybody to the party to finish your opponent off. So here he plays f4 here. Of course, the e5 pawn is pinned because if you take, we'll take the rook here, take here, and white is up material. Easy win there. All right, so here it plays bishop to d7, developing a piece. And then the move f5, and now we stop the knight from going to g6 or e6. A great move here. Invite everyone to the party. Everyone is going to participate. So the f5 pawn is doing its job. Bishop to c6, a long diagonal here. Here, bishop c4, we move our bishop from being blocked by the f5 pawn to a better diagonal, attacking the king on g8. Everyone is invited to the party. g4. Now, we want to play g5 here and open up the kingside position here. Plays b6. Why? He wants to get rid of the anchor, c5, so the knight on d6 isn't so well guarded. But we already have a rook covering d6, so it's no reason to panic right now. Here he plays g5. He just wants to open this up. He wants to go g takes f6, g takes f6, and queen h6, where he's threatening to play queen takes f6 check. Plus the rook is going to come to the g file. This is just very bad. And the knight is just preventing all kind of moves here. He takes here, queen takes, and now a simple f6 will be attacking the rook and the g7 pawn. So he plays h6 here. He moves away, queen h5. Now he's threatening knight to f7 check. B takes c5, knight to f7 check here. So the knight moves from d6 here. Now if you take with the rook, we'll just take with the bishop here, and white is winning in material. So instead, he moves the king to h7, knight to g5. The pawn is pinned, so can't take the knight because of the pin of the h6 pawn. King to h8. Boom, f6 here. If g takes, we have queen takes h6. Everything is blowing up around black's king because the knight went from d6 to f7 to g5. He takes, queen takes check. The knight blocks here. Knight takes h7, rook takes h7, queen takes f6 check. The king cannot move anywhere because of the bishop. Okay, and the queen covers g7, so you have to block here. Rook takes e5. The next move will be rook to h5. And there's nothing you could do to stop it except for sacrificing your queen. And don't want to do that. But that's what he had to do, because if he just moves the queen away, then rook h5 is checkmate. And that all happened because of this knight on d6 being so strong, hopping to f7 to g5. But in order for it to be so involved in the attack, you first got to find an outpost for that knight. Okay, so this is an example of knight outpost. Make sure you look at the rest of those examples really fast in the link that I'm going to send you from chessgames.com. I'm going to send a quiz as well. Answer that quiz, and we're going to see how good you understand the knights on an outpost. All right, so I'll be looking forward to seeing you guys' answer. Hopefully your game gets better when you add the ability to find knight outposts to your game. So that's it. So can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I am Coach Brian, Implodian, out.
This could be us. So back to what I was saying.